Hello and welcome. Well, the big question today is, are the IMF and the World Bank trying to ruin Ghana, just as Craig Murray has indicated in his fabulously written report? Is history repeating itself all over again? I mean, are we now tying our hands and turning our backs towards the West and just getting lashed? What is actually the story? Is it that we really and genuinely will not be able to manage our simple things, such as just go house to house and collect a bill once you've provided them with the energy? Or you actually need a big power or big brother to come in and do this for it? I'll take a break. When I come back, I'll actually read the report so you know what the premise is this conversation is going to take. My name is Nana Sakwao. This is PM Express, and when I come back, I'm talking to my brother. You know, don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying. The big question again is, are the IMF and the World Bank ruining Ghana? And as I said, I was talking to my brother, Sydney Casely Hayford, financial and policy analyst. He's also developed a hobby, which is Ghana. And that's more hard work than, I think, being a financial and policy analyst. But he's doing it quite well. Sydney, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Nana.
Well, this is a report which Craig Murray has written, and I'd read it a lot for those of you who haven't come across it so that you can get the basis of the conversation. It says, just 10 years ago, Ghana had the most reliable electricity supply in all of Africa and the highest percentage of households connected to the grid in all of Africa, including South Africa. The Volta River Authority, the power producers and distributor, was, in my very considerable experience, the best run and most efficient public utility in all of Africa. Indeed, it was truly world class, and Ghana was proud of it. Obviously, the sight of a truly successful public-owned and run enterprise was too much of a threat to the neoliberal ideologues of the IMF and World Bank. When Ghana needed some temporary financial assistance against a generally healthy background, the IMF insisted that VRA be broken up. And it goes to describe the end results as a disaster brought on not by politics, by the secret underhand workings of foreign missions. And is that not intriguing? Sydney, I mean, it's the IMF or the World Bank. I mean, will they go on a board meeting and decide, yeah, let's go and just crush Ghana is becoming a rising star?
No, that doesn't make any sense. The possible motive for doing something like that just doesn't stack up. There's absolutely nothing for the IMF and the World Bank to gain by collapsing Ghana's economy or by collapsing the Ghanaian society. So, for me, in my opinion, I don't see any reason why the IMF and the World Bank would conspire to bring Ghana's economy down or to ruin Ghana. Besides, the World Bank and the IMF can maybe suggest something. It's entirely up to the Ghanaian government to agree whether it will do it or not. We have the final say. This is our country. It is our way of life, and it is up to us to determine whether we actually want to go down a particular path or not. And if we don't think that path is suitable and will benefit us in any way, there's absolutely no reason why we should accept it, simply because the IMF and the World Bank are offering it. So I don't agree with that part of his report. And frankly, I read the report a few times, and I see no basis for what he is saying. So I have a problem.
Is it that instead of blaming us, he's blaming them?
Well, how can you blame? You can't blame anybody for something like this. Let me see if I can use an analogy that will probably fit. You decide you want to get married, and you go and look for your bride to be. You bring the bride home, and your parents say, I don't think this woman is right for you. I can offer you somebody else, or we think that there's somebody else who will be better suited to your temperament and would make you flourish better. So We don't think you should do this marriage, but do this one. You then choose to go with what you want. Or you agree you would go with what your parents are offering.
When your parents are still, funding, maybe paying for your accommodation or paying for your transportation, it becomes very difficult to say, well, no, I'm still going to stick with mine, because in that case, then you find your own accommodation. But I just want to bring it back to the point where he's raising. You see, VRA produces electricity, has no problem in generating it. Gives it to Gridco. Gridco has no problem in taking it. It gives it to ECG. They have no problem in receiving it. The problem then comes, ECG to now come to your house and say, look, Sydney, you used 10 cedis worth of electricity, so give me my money. So I pay Gridco, Gridco pays VRA. I mean, do we need Big Brother in this?
Well, not at all, because at the end of the day, anybody who's on a prepaid meter is paying their bills without fail. I mean, you don't pay, your light gets cut off. So you pay. And when ECG brought in the prepaid system, the whole idea was to enable them to collect their cash up front and to be able to at least provide a service based on the cash that they were picking up. The problem is not really the collection of the money. The problem is the efficiency of running service. Okay? The cost of purchase of the electricity from VRA through to Gridco to ECG is far more than ECG is able to collect. And that is because there is a government pro-poor policy where a certain level of persons below who use less than 50 units or something a month. Right? My memory is a bit hasty on this one because this analysis was done quite some time back.
50 units.
But 50 units is free. It's subsidized by government. Then the rest of it above that is collected. So we're in that same cycle that we've always been. That government, through its largesse, keeps providing freebie services. And the persons who are punished are the ones who are trying to run a profit, or at least are expected to run a profit in order for them to keep on providing a service. And if you look at the ECG's financial statements, you would see that even at the level where they actually bill for the service and they buy the service, what we call the gross margin, they are making a loss. So they don't run at a profit, even at the gross level. They are running at a gross loss at that point. And then they have all the other overheads, which they lump onto it. So before they even start, ECG is running at a loss.
The goes so further to say 10 years ago, I mean, we were producing, I mean, at the moment, according to the report, we're doing 900 megawatts of electricity, where 10 years ago, we're doing double that.
Yes.
And now we can barely do that. When gold prices slammed, revenue to the state reduced, therefore we went to the big brother to say, look, can you give us some money? And they say, well, we will give you some money, but you need to dice up ECG. We say, yeah, we'll dice it up, give us the money.
Is that a fact?
Well, that's,
well,
I mean,
it's an allegation you're making.
Well, no, but we all know that the Compact 2, somewhere in the Compact 2 component is the ECG, breaking up of ECG. So
yes, but Compact 2 is free money.
Well, but
we're not borrowing it.
Well, but it's not free as there's no free lunch.
Well, it's free as in the fact that you're not paying it back. So in this particular case, it is a free lunch.
Well, if you are giving up, part of your, energy or your electricity supply, and I bet you any money it won't be Kasapreko who buys it or Japia who buys it. It would be some, company from outside who comes to buy it. So that's not free.
You're talking to somebody who believes in private business.
Sure, and
I believe that the private sector must thrive. And it is only when the private sector thrives, that's when government gets its tax revenues. So if your private sector is not working, government gets no income.
But when the private sector then becomes where all the capital in the private sector belongs to some foreign entity somewhere, you end up losing out. As somebody say, yesterday on this, we were pounding fufu for somebody else to eat.
If you think about the retail part of electricity, which is what ECG is, there really is not much capital investment. Your capital investment is in your transmission lines, in your transformers, and in the supply side, in our case, the hydro dams, and also in the plants and equipment that are using light crude. But at the ECG side, the only real assets that you have there are the meters. Okay, and even the meters, you and I buy the meters. We pay for the meters, so the meters belong to us as individuals. The only thing that any company is going to bring when it comes to look at that particular sector is going to bring computerized software that will enable it to either within its home office to shut your power down because you've exceeded your bill and you're not paying, or you haven't paid your bill, or it is going to bring in software that will enable it to bill efficiently and collect its money efficiently. The other big resource in a situation like that is human resource. So there isn't really any huge capital asset that is being handled or taken away by anybody.
Either way, they'll take their profit away. Either way, whoever shuts down, brings the computer, comes to collect the bill, hires the people, will protect their profit.
What choice do you have? The choice you have is you either decree that anybody who is coming to invest in that part of the business must have a Ghanaian counterpart, must have a Ghanaian local or a Ghanaian company to team up with in order to ensure that the technology stays here. We do have technology transfer arrangements and technology transfer agreements with many, in many situations. So this could be one of those things that you make. But I think, seriously, that we are making a mountain out of a molehill here. All right? We're making a huge mountain out of a molehill. Some Ghanaian companies will bid for it. See, my proposal at one time, I remember when I did have this conversation before, is what we need to do is to have 10, maybe 12, all right, independent power producers, one for every region. And when you have one for every region, that particular contractor is responsible for the delivery of electricity in that region. He has to buy the supply of electricity or energy from the power grid. When he does that, his job is then to distribute it. But rather than charge a blanket price, because you've got disparity of incomes in various places, there's a higher per capita income in the Greater Accra region than there is in the Upper East region. Okay, so what you therefore want to do is you don't fix a single price for the commodity, because if you do, then those of us in the higher per capita income bracket, we are able to afford the electricity easier than those who are not. So what you do is to say, okay, anybody who's going to get involved in this thing, your markup margin on the base cost of what you're providing should not exceed 10% or 6%, whatever percentage you want to fix. And therefore, if in the Tamale area or in the northern region, the base cost is lower, and you add on another 10%, the price of electricity will be much lower than the price is in Accra.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So when you do that, you're actually leveling the development paradigm. You're making it a little comfortable, so that if you live in Accra and you think that electricity is costing you too much, or say you have a factory in Accra and it is costing you way too much to run it, you have a choice. You can relocate the factory to Tamale or to somewhere in the northern region where the tariffs are a lot less, and you'll be still running your same plant, but you're running it at a far cheaper cost.
Is it the reason, I mean, because we haven't applied these decisions, that these reports, somehow seem true?
Well, they seem true because I think too many times we are not using a common sense approach to what we are talking about.
Common sense is politicized.
Well, common sense is politicized in this country. But when you look at it very clearly, if you cut away all the chaff and you look at what you're faced with, you will see that there is a very, very simple solution to all of this. Everybody in this society must contribute a certain quota of their income to taxes, so government gets a better revenue stream to be able to build the infrastructure. So anytime you have a situation like this that you're looking at, and if you think about it very, very clearly, you see VRA and the way VRA runs with the huge hydro dam and the capacity of the dam, as an entity, you can't compete with it. Nobody can come in as an independent power producer, and VRA is an independent power producer at the end of the day, except it's a government independent power producer. Yeah. But VRA is an IPP, as we call them, an independent power producer. VRA is putting out electricity, or is putting out energy for sale at the price of 2.6 cents per kilowatt. If you use a crude oil plant, you can't compete. It's way cheaper for them to do it. So you can't compete with them on the supply side. So you really have to leave VRA alone to just be the major supplier of electricity. And what I would say is, because VRA can do a mix of both the thermal as well as the hydro, if you give all the supply to VRA and let VRA handle that, then VRA will get a weighted average mix of its cost of production. And that will drop down because the dam is so huge and produces so much energy. So you drop the weighted average price down. When you do that, the price then that goes to Gridco for transmission, all right, or the price that passes through to ECG at the end of the day is much lower. Then the idea of whether Gridco should be a separate independent company or not is debatable. It's debatable because Gridco could easily be a subsidiary of VRA, and it can be run completely as a separate company, and it will still be provisional. If you do that, you have a lot more cohesion at board decision making, and you are able to make decisions throughout until your end delivery point. But the way we've done it now, VRA could be going on one trajectory, and Gridco is going on another trajectory, and then we start having problems, which is where we are today. So when Craig Murray says in his report that we were made to break it up and that has caused us a lot of problems, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. The problems are caused because of the inefficiency in the operations managed by the people in charge. It is not because you've broken up into three parts. It is because we are not managing it very, very well. The largest producer of energy in Africa, which is South Africa's, or what are they called? South Africa's electricity producing company. I've forgotten its name now. It will come tip of the tongue. But they are also rationing power at this time. Okay, they're also rationing power. So it's not because it's separated, because they have a single entity system where they own the whole solution from beginning to the end. But they are also having difficulties. So you have to say to yourself, before South Africa changed and became a black-run economy, I don't want to use black, but let me say the new political divide that came in, were they having problems with electricity supply? The answer was no, but what were the reasons? The reasons are probably that they didn't need to extend power as far as they're doing now, because now even the townships and the outskirts of South Africa are supposed to have electricity. In the past, the apartheid regime was such that they can say, okay, fine, this is where the electricity stops because this is where the black, the black habitat starts. So we're not providing energy there, and so they had enough power for themselves to use. Now there's a lot more pressure on them because they have a lot more people connecting. We have the same situation here. In this country, Ghana, we have a lot more people connecting to the energy grid now, both legally and illegally. We have a lot more high-rise apartments coming up. There's a lot more demand for air conditioning. There's a lot more demand for lighting. I mean, you can take even the most recent Accra Financial, what do you call it? Or the ADB's new offices, the new bank offices. It's called the Accra Financial something. Why can't I remember anything this evening? And even them, you just drive by that place in the dead of night. Everywhere else can be out of electricity, but that one is on. Okay? So we are burning a lot more energy than we used to. And of course, with the rain pattern, the cyclical rain pattern having come in, we are producing less energy from the dam. So we have that problem to counter.
I'm going to take a break, and then when I come back, yes, I know we are growing and everything, but really, what's the real justification of our energy crisis today? What's the pinpoint? Another thing which is coming from some quarters of VRA is that, hold on, I have enough generators, I have enough plants, I can produce the energy, you just give me the money, I'll fix it, I'll buy the crude. So what's with this power badge? I'm coming back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we are talking about our energy crisis and the fact that the big boys, the big unseen hands are probably turning things and tweaking things to make sure that we are at a disadvantaged position. But Kwame Nkrumah said neo-colonialism will come back in a different form. Could this be it? So that's your question one. Question two is, we're going to get these power badges, right? Now, what the VRA is saying is that, hold on, I haven't said I can't produce energy. All I'm saying is that I don't have the money to buy the crude. So if you have the money, give it to me, and I'll give you the electric, because I have more than you can produce.
Absolutely.
And so why are you going to buy a badge and not give me the money? I mean, how does that work? I don't know, maybe...
So we start from the Kwame Nkrumah one first?
Let's start from Kwame Nkrumah. Is this neocolonialism coming back, you know, on seeing hands, tweaking things in a way that they call partnership, development partners, but in theory, you know, it's a takeover?
Well, I'm not an Nkrumahist. I never supported much of what Nkrumah did or said. I have one or two areas where I am impressed with what he tried to do. We all can't question his industrialization policy, the speed at which he industrialized, and the fact that he wasn't able to sustain the program before he was overthrown, and also the fact that he put political cronies in place instead of using proper persons to run these companies was a problem for me. So we won't go in there. We won't go there. But neocolonialism in a different form, it has always been there. You know, the political divide during the Cold War era and everything was always there. You have to admire the fact that we did take a stand as a leader in Black Africa, and we did make it clear that we would not join certain bandwagons and we would cut an independent path. Has it worked, and has that been the right thing to do? If you look at neighboring Ivory Coast, who did not do that and went with a colonial power, they have made more progress, or at least they seem to have made more progress, are wealthier, and have a better per capita and a more stable country than we are today. At one point, Ghana might have pipped, or we thought we would pip Ivory Coast. In its current form, you can call it whatever you like. You can give the beast a name and call it neocolonialism if you want to. You can call it suppression. You can call it economic division in one form or the other. But the fact of the matter is, we are not thinking. See, we as Ghanaians and as a black race, we are really not thinking. We are not thinking clearly, and we are not applying solutions to problems that we ourselves should identify, and not let outsiders come and identify those problems for us. Even as I hear what Craig Murray has said, I find it insulting, okay, that Craig should say, or should give the implication or classify us that we are not capable of even ruining ourselves, and we need another person to come and ruin us. Okay? That in itself doesn't do justice to me, that I'm not even capable of destroying my own castle. So what he's implying here is that we were so stupid that we couldn't figure out that if the World Bank came with cash in one hand and a dagger in the other for breaking up our electricity supply, we couldn't figure out the difference. And we went with what is now the worst situation. But it's easy to say what he's saying because we are in this program now where we can't even keep our lights on 24/7. So clearly, we are in this crisis. However, if we could keep the lights on, this statement would be just ridiculous, and he wouldn't even have thought about making this statement. So let's go to ECG. Does ECG have the solution? VRA, sorry. Does VRA have the solution to fixing the problems that we have? The answer is yes. VRA does have the solutions. Why? Because VRA has proven that it is capable of doing it for quite a long time, and has been able to achieve a certain international status, which it continues to enjoy internationally. How did we arrive here? We've arrived at this position simply because we have made the wrong choices politically, not technically. We've made the wrong choices politically. Now, should we be bringing barges, floating barges, for 450 megawatts? Here's what I would ask. Why would I want to have an energy generating barge that I will sit on water It is taking us just as long a time to bring that power here. I don't know how much it costs, all right, to generate 450 megawatts. Somebody gave me a rule of the thumb. Says you need to provide about $1 million for each megawatt. So presumably, we are looking at a $450 million barge, which is coming in. Why wouldn't I, if I have that kind of money, bring the plant on land and make it permanent and fix it so it supplements the supply that I'm getting? Because the supply of energy is not coming from the sea.
No.
It's coming from oil.
Yeah.
So the same way you're going to have to get that oil, either pipe it or carry it by ship to the barge, okay, or wherever it is the same way you would do if it was on land. So this particular transaction doesn't make much sense to me. And when I think like that, always my conclusion is, if it doesn't look right and it doesn't make much sense, and even when you read the detail, it still doesn't make that much sense, then it's a scam. And there's something at play here that we are not aware of or we haven't seen through. So the whole idea...
Could it be just desperation? Look, we need clutch onto straws. I mean, the guys need power. We have to get power. Look, there's a bag somewhere. Go get it.
And let me work on that basis, that it's out of desperation. And that comes back to what I said. We are just not capable, or we are not thinking clearly enough. We should have known a decade ago that we were going to get into a cyclical downturn at a certain point. We've known that the turbines on the dam would need retrofitting for quite some time now. We always said we didn't have the money, but we could have gone and borrowed money, like we have gone to borrow money from the IMF now. We could have taken money and specifically fixed the dam to ensure that the lifeline will be expanded. We could have done all that. We could also have thought ahead and said, and looked at our planning cycle and said, this country is growing, all right? The demand for being in Ghana is increasing. Look around you, you will see the buildings coming up. You see the infrastructure that we are trying to put up. All of this should have led us to think quite far and say, right, what are the options here? We are either going to save money and build these things ourselves, or we are going to borrow in order to be able to accelerate the program. But because we are very inefficient in planning and executing our plans, and we are very inefficient in collecting the money that we know is supposed to come to us, and we are very inefficient in taxing the whole of the country, only efficient in taxing a small part of the country, we are short of revenue, we are short of income, and that shortage that we are seeing is what is translating to the difficulty that we are seeing now, because we are not able to find enough money to put together any meaningful long-term solutions to the energy supply that we are looking at. And this is our problem.
Well, it's time you join the show now. I think the number is on the screen. Coming now and let's hear your take on this issue. With regards to energy, I mean, as soon as you see privatization, we panic. We panic because it's sort of, you don't have another option. And so then if it goes into private hands and then they decide to, overcharge, then that's it, you're doomed. They'll come and tell you, well, the dollar is 5 cedis or the dollar is 10 cedis, and therefore I have no choice but to charge you X amount. And what then happens?
You see, in many ways, Ghana is still suffering a stroke from all these socialist, Marxist, communist ideas and ideology that was developed 50, 60 some years ago. So we still continue to think that privatization is a bad thing. But when you look at it, in Ghana, in this country, capitalism is a far more dominant role, a far more dominant play than socialism. Everybody who works, particularly in the informal sector, is a capitalist. Okay? Everybody who works in the informal sector is a capitalist. The Hausa Cocoa seller is not spreading her wealth to anybody. She's keeping her wealth for herself, her family, her children to go to school. The carpenter does the same. The mason, the electrician, the plumber, all of them, the coconut sellers, all right? are not pulling their money into any fund or any reserve that they intend spreading to anybody. So basically, we are all capitalists. And it is only the politician who is trying to tell us that we should be socialists and who is still stealing as much of the money as he can into his own personal pockets is the one who is telling us this is the way we should think, and it's not normal.
Let me go to Wa and speak to Saidu. Hello, Saidu.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. My difficulty for now is now looking at what is happening in the country.
Mm-hmm.
We have a huge challenge that is by way generation to satisfy the needs of Ghanaians.
Mm-hmm.
So much is not done at the generation. We have a challenge of getting our money from customers, and in particular the government.
Mm-hmm.
The government is the same person going out to take money, encouraging independent power producers who at the end of the day dictate. And whether you like it or not, that is the customer's problem. Mm-hmm. Now they are actually causing the huge problem because you're looking around and you are seeing that actually they are not paying electricity bills from the ministers, the state, whatever. Okay. Now look at what is happening. Where are we heading to? And I'm thinking that the stakeholders have to speak out. If not, one day, sometime, Ghana is going to be in the drain. And that is the end. That's the bottom line. We have no alternative than to speak and stand so firm. Because at the end of the day, we know it's the same politicians who are going behind scenes to partner with these independent power producers. And they are going to enjoy at the expense of the mere Ghanaians.
Thank you very much, Saidu. Thank you. Let me speak to Senor in Kolebu. Hello, Senor.
Good evening, Nana.
Good evening.
I really like your outfit, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question, please, I'd like to ask, just simply, what's the way forward? That's it.
What's the way forward?
What's the way forward? I give that question to Sydney. Have I got anybody else on the phone? Have I got anybody else on the phone? Okay, so what's the way forward?
All right. Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Here, if anybody asks my opinion on how can we turn things around in this country, here's what I say we should do. We should stop trying to control everything from the center of power.
But can you do that up? You see, because the difference between the rich and the poor is too big. So don't you want to lift, some equality before you come in?
Why do we have the disparity? We have the disparity because everybody wants to come to the urban center to come and earn money because they think the base of money earning is Accra, Kumasi, Sekondi, Takoradi, Koforidua to some extent. So everybody congregates around these areas. But that's because there are no opportunities outside of these areas.
Let me hold your flow there and go to Yendi and speak to Joan. Hello. Hello, June in Yendi.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening to Mr. Kingsley Hifford.
Sure.
Is this June, July?
Yeah. July. Okay, I've been monitoring him for quite a long time. And then last year he said when a country has ever joined HIPIC, you cannot join it for the second time. And I think Ghana, we did that for some time ago.
Sure.
So my problem is now our debt portfolio is 57% now.
Mm-hmm.
What is the state now? What is it possible for us to go back to HIPIC?
Okay, he's going to answer that question for you. Let me go to Y and speak to Usman. Hello, Usman. Usman, you need to turn down your radio so that you listen to me from your phone. Otherwise, you get a delay.
Yes, sir. I'm doing that, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I want to contribute. To the program.
Let me hear your contribution.
My problem is that ECG, they are rather causing the messes in this the electricity generation.
How is that?
If you look at VRE is operating with. They are operating with a few areas, but what they are getting is more than ECG operating in a larger area. So That is what the man is saying. They should just give it a private man to manage the ECG. Therefore, VRA should just take solely responsibility for
the whole of collection. Okay, that's your opinion. Let me go to Sunyani and speak to Nicholas. Hello, Nicholas. Hello, Nicholas.
Hello.
Yes, my brother, you're on air.
I want to make contributions.
Let me hear your contribution. You're on air.
Yes. Sydney is talking about the tax. And I think that Ghana here only feeding workers who are in the formal sector pay tax. Burden to us. For example, look at the rate of building houses around Ghana and tax. Whether those ministries that we pay tax go to our private
Oh, your line is really bad. If you try and call back, line is really bad. Even though you're trying to make a very good point there. Let me go to Bechem and speak to Hassan. Hello, Hassan.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Please, my point is, privatization. Privatization is good, but in this country, you see, our institutions are not efficient to monitor the private man, because his motive is to make profit. And if he or she is not monitored, and you privatize everything, you see, because he or she is a profit-oriented person, everything is going to be worked to his or her advantage, leaving the poor person to suffer the most. So I think before we go on privatization, so far as ECD is concerned, that we should put the institutions in place properly. Before we do that, we can compare that to that of the mining sector, where a lot of water bodies are polluted. The people are there, the institution which are mandated to monitor the mining companies to see that they do the right thing. They sit out there, and the rural folks are suffering. They are even contributing to some of the people going to choke in Accra. Thank you.
Hassan, thank you very much. Let me speak to Mohammed in Wale Wale. Hello, Mohammed.
Hello.
Yes, my brother.
I beg you. You know, this life issue. I think that Ghana needs some amount of money to contribute before and do this life. Look, from the 2009, the salary that workers collect, the same thing the workers still collect. Look from the adjustment from the fuel, adjustment from the line, adjustment from the all good. I think the workers get suffer. I think he's supposed to know why to go on before can do this one.
Well, thank you very much there. Thank you very much there, Mohammed. Your line was a bit struggling here, but let me go to Volta region and speak to my second senior caller. Hello, senior.
Yeah, Nana. Good evening, Nana.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah, my problem is ECG is just a waste. It's just a waste, and we need to privatize them. You know, my personal experience, I had a faulty meter in my house, and I complained to ECG over a month. They couldn't turn up to check the fault. The time they turn up after the month was to hit the meter, go back. Every media are going to come back and monitor and work on it. Up till today, they've never came back to work on it. And just imagine the waste. We are using the power free. And who pays for the waste?
Point.
Nana, they are just there, not working, being paid very high. It's just a terrible problem. We need to act fast.
Very good. Thank you very much. Let me speak to Abdul, and I think Abdul is going to be my last caller. Hello, Abdul. Hello, have I got Abdullah or the call dropped? Well, let me come to studio. Well, diverse views from...
Plenty.
Yeah. But the last caller, sort of...
He nailed it, didn't he? He nailed it. He's saying very
Inefficiency.
clearly, you have a very, very inefficient organization or institution. So why carry on? See, why carry on? There was one other gentleman who said that we should hold on with privatization because we can't monitor and privatization, and so the question I ask him back is, if that be the case, why don't we rather improve our monitoring? Why don't we do something about getting more efficient at monitoring and checking? Why rather run away from it?
No, but I'm sure his argument is that why don't we make the ECG efficient rather than...
How do you make it efficient? How if you're going to make ECG efficient, you have to bring, Ghana Water and Sewage tried it, didn't they? They brought in this company called AVRL from the Dutch company. They paid them an enormous amount of money to come and turn around. They did a lot on customer service, but they didn't do much on the actual delivery side. So we lost the opportunity there. Now, you have a choice, as it is, to either improve the institution or else you give it to people who are profit motivated and who will not come and take somebody's meter away, knowing that if they don't take it back, they are going to lose revenue. They will rush back to get it done. No private person who is trying to make a profit at the end of the day will sit down and allow somebody to enjoy the benefit of their service or product for free. It won't happen. So what you rather want to do is, with the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission, the PURC, you have the opportunity to ensure that people don't overcharge. And there is a formula to making sure that people don't charge too much, and it's not difficult to monitor. So you can actually regulate private sector profits. And it's done in the majority of the Western world.
But you say private sector. Is it going to be an American private sector? Is it an English private sector or a Ghanaian private sector? Because that's the worry, because at the end of the day, they will come in, they will run it efficiently and scoop all your profits away, and then I'll get you in here saying the city is rising, so come and let's just do another show. And then you come and sit and we'll do a show knowing very well that all these guys are repatriating their dividends and it's affecting the city. And that's a mega money institution too.
I don't know where you come up with this stereotyping of me. I'll come back and I'll come and complain again.
So I will call you so that we talk about the falling city.
Listen, we were tackling the idea of privatization at one point earlier on in the conversation. And I'm telling you, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with private organizations.
No, I'm saying
we need to get away from this stigma against private organizations. I mean, which companies in this country are most efficient? Name me a few companies that we can consider to be icons of institutions that are doing well in this country.
Graphic Corporation.
Graphic Corporation. Is it private or is it government?
It's government.
Are you sure?
Well, it's predominantly government.
The main buyer of advertising space in the Daily Graphic happens to be government. It's the main buyer of advertising space. Okay? Now, if that be the case, then of course, Graphic is doing very well.
National Lotteries is turning its lifetime, turning things around.
And National Lotteries is virtually quasi-independent. It's not. Its salaries are not paid by government. It pays its own salaries. All right? And there are institutions like that, but you're choosing all the ones that are originating as from government. What about Papaye?
That's a good one.
Papaye has been in this country for 15, 20 years. It's been around for as long as I can remember fast foods coming up. And it's still going well. Kasapa is doing well. Kasapreco is doing well.
Fantastic.
Your MTNs, your Vodafones,
Multimedia is
doing well.
Fantastic.
Melcom is doing well. ShopRite is in town. They are not complaining. At least, malls are developing and they are building up. So, and all of them provide good service to the public. All right? They provide a needed service to the public. Okay? And you can't accuse them of price gouging, because if I go to ShopRite to go and buy food and it's too expensive, I'll go to Palace and compare. And if Palace is too expensive, I'll go to Koala. And if Koala is too expensive, I'll hit Melcom or I'll hit MaxMart. But I will look around. And if ShopRite and Co. realize that They are pricing themselves out of the market. They drop the price because they send people around to go and compare prices every week.
I'm going to take a break here. Yes, we're not saying that nothing should be privatized, but we're just looking at the circumstances with which we are privatizing ECG. Would that be our first option? Is it the right option? We're coming straight back. One simple question and so many answers. Well, so many unanswers, but we won't be able to tackle it all. But I think because of the time left, I just want to give it to you and say, find what's the way forward.
Okay. I say more privatization. And I failed to mention a couple of other names when I was looking at privatization. Let's take Joy Multimedia, compare it to GBC. All right? That's your classic example of what is good about private company running compared to a government company running. So for me, these things are very clear, and you don't need to go very far. However, one of the callers in asked the question, said, what is the solution? Here's my solution. We need to regionalize this country. We have 10 regions. Each region must be run by either a mayor or a regional minister. Call him what you want. But there has to be what I would term the chief executive of a region. That region has to be responsible for the people of its region. We have districts in every region and let them stay that way, and you can develop and manage so that your district chiefs are like your managers. How we vote for them, how we put them in place, that's a different matter. That's not what we're talking about here. If you regionalize and you give regional autonomy for the regions to develop on their own, they will choose their own independent power producer. They will monitor him. They will make sure that he doesn't profit gouge, which is what people always get scared with privatization. They don't need to profit gouge. They will develop their own educational systems. They will develop how things work. They will develop their road infrastructure. They will, you see, when it's smaller to manage, it is easier to contain, and you are able to get it done. Every time we talk about this, people say, oh, but then you have the rich Accra and you have the poor northern region. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. To have a state that is poorer or that is less developed means there's opportunity for more development and more growth.
Will they be in control of the resources they find within their region, or they bring it to central government?
Like you're talking about, if they find gold,
if they find gold in Adumasa, you know, do I give it to Osiojamai or Eastern region, or do I bring it back to Greater Accra?
Why bring it back to Greater Accra? There's a law, all right? There's a law. There's an assay process. There's a PMMC, etc., etc., etc. Private enterprise will exploit the gold. After all, there's Ashanti Goldfields, is there not? Ashanti Goldfields used to be government. It was sold and it's privatized. So if you discover gold, there is a law. The law must prevail. There's a law that prevails across the whole of the country. You are not federating. That's what you have to understand. It's not a federal system. It's a regional system for managing the resources that you generate for yourself in your own region. And you have your own agricultural produce. You have your own cocoa if you have cocoa. You have your own palm oil if you have palm oil. And you develop it the way you want to. Some companies will be more prone to industrialization and to getting manufacturing going and to doing things bigger and differently and better. And they can attract resources into their region by giving a certain amount of taxes, freebies, and developing the economy. You see, we need to think about how we can develop all of this by ourselves. We don't need to go and borrow the American federal system. And every time we talk about this, people say, oh, so you want to federate like America. I don't want to federate like America. I want to regionalize like Ghana. I want to regionalize for Ghana. I want to come up with a system that will enable fair play across the board. I don't want to go and promise the people of Western region that they will get 10% of all the oil wealth simply because the oil is found in that territory. No, oil is found there. Let it be exploited. If you go to the U.S., you will find states where they have their own wildcatters. People generate their oil. They exploit the oil. They file their royalties. They pay their taxes, and you develop the region. So you can get that done. But you see, by doing it regional by region, you don't necessarily have to bring it to the national coffers for the national coffers to be responsible for a redistribution.
So more decentralization.
You need total decentralization, absolute and total decentralization in all its forms. And particularly, you must have decentralization with the authority over the revenue purse.
Thank you very, very much, Sydney. It's been insightful. We can't finish this conversation, but just a quick one. Do you mind the nationalities that invest in our invest in our businesses?
Like in foreigners coming to invest in businesses here. I don't have a problem with it. For long as you regulate it properly and they abide by the laws of the country, there's nothing wrong with it. If a foreigner can take his profit out, can repatriate his dividends out of the country, so can I as a Ghanaian. I can repatriate my profits if I want to.
I need to call you back so we talk about
it's fair play.
Building local capacity for them to...
More than happy to come back. Great ideas on the table.
Sure. Say thank you very much to Tanti's Fashion, who produces my Ghana-made shirts. It's 024-366-2001. That's the Tanti's Fashion's number, 024-366-2001. Give them a call and order yourself one. Say thank you very much to production, cameraman, and to Sydney. Been an interesting conversation, which has generated other conversations. I'm sure I'll get you back so we do it. But all I say, tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you very much for watching.